Hello, hello, Battlesnake friends. It's Aurora. I'm here for Deep Learning 2022. This is the first Deep Learning episode we've had for a while. Certainly not our first Battlesnake stream, though. Hopefully, folks have had a chance to check out. I know Joe started his coding badly. We had a little mini setup for Spring League, but now it is time for Deep Learning, which is the time where we use Battlesnake as an excuse to kind of deep dive into some kind of interesting computing programming topic. So that's the idea behind deep learning. If there are topics you'd like us to deep dive into, let me know on Discord. Check out the Battlesnake Discord. I'll pop a link in chat here. But check us out and feel free to ping me, or we have a deep learning channel where you can absolutely make suggestions. Some topics we've done in the past, we've done deep dives on academic papers about battlesnakes. I once did a history of the game Snake, which was, I think, probably my favorite episode to do. And I've also had some guests talking about various things. And today, I'm very excited because we have a return guest. We had a lot of fun last year with Penelope, who they built a integration into their Battlesnake for Honeycomb. So we got to sort of observe and see how we could hook in and to really understand what's happening with the Battlesnake. But today we're doing something new, something different, something special. So without further ado, let me bring Penelope up. Hey, Penelope.
Hey.
It is so wonderful to have you today. Penelope, you wanted to do something specific. I was super on board to do it for deep learning because it gets us into some new technology angles. What are we doing today?
Firstly, let me say what's up, memers and dreamers, because that's how we have to start every stream. So we're going to be building reverse proxy today, which anyone, hopefully, fingers crossed, can stick in front of their Battlesnake server and with very low latency, basically get all their games dumped into a SQLite database. I feel like this is the logical extension of the Battlesnake downloader tool, which is okay, you've leveled up, you're running on your own server infrastructure now, here's a tiny little binary that you can run that will let you just have all the game data on a file on disk.
Yeah, I think this is so timely too, because I don't know how many folks are watching the Battlesnake feedback discussion, but there's definitely a conversation going about hey, it would be nice if it was a little easier to get game data. And this is where community tools can really shine, right? Building up these things and helping to build up my game data, whether you're using it for machine learning or for manual study or whatever. So very timely. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, this is not just for machine learning snakes, right? But be able to go to any game and look at, the turn where you lost and play it back and see what's going on, I think is a really interesting idea. And yeah, I'm hoping we may not get this done in the time we have on stream today, but to be able to do some data structuring as well. So I'm excited. I think this is cool. Because what I do today is I grep through a log file and I have all the JSON stuff in there, but it's not fun to do that, right? And having an actual database, is always better than having a text file. So let's have an actual database.
Yeah, I think this is nice. I think this is good. And because Penelope's doing all the work here for us, I will provide commentary. My objective here is to talk a little bit about the tool that we're using, why you might consider them, their advantages, their pros and cons, including a bit of a discussion on what proxy servers are, how we can use them, how we're using it today, because there's lots of different ways you can do this. So this is kind of our target. So for deep learning, I mean, we're all learning together here. I think, Penelope, before the stream, you were being I'm coding and go. I'm not sure how this is going to go. So we can be awkward and learn together. It's good time. So toss your questions in chat, please. And let's bring up, should we go straight to the IDE? You want to bring up some docs or tabs or something?
Yeah, if you could show the Chrome tabs, that would be great.
Yeah.
So it basically turns out that Golang has a reverse HP proxy built into the language, I was originally thinking we were going to do this in Rust, and then I was wait, this is literally built into Go. So we're going to do some Go today. And basically the idea is we're going to strap the built in for whatever the hell reason in standard lib reverse HTTP proxy to the SQLite 3 package. And like that's theoretically it. I'm, skeptical that will actually be it, but we can try it and we can see what happens and hopefully we can have a good time.
Yeah. And I'm just going to link in chat here. So you found a specific, so Go SQLite 3. This is the package we're going to be using. So whole tool set, writing code in Go, reverse proxy using the handsome built-in tools that we've got available to us, and then adding the Go SQLite library for interacting with our little local database. So that's our tool set. And then I guess at the end of the day, if we get to it, the last tool we're going to use, I'll pop a link into chat here, is the Battlesnake rules repo. So this is open source on the Battlesnake GitHub page. This would allow folks to sort of work with this and work with this data. So I'll pop a link in there too. I think that's our whole tool set. Yeah.
Theoretically, but this is a Penelope stream, so like who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and whatever else we stumble upon that we realize we need on the way.
Yeah. So if you want to flip over to the IDE, I can just start hacking and we can sort of see what happens, right? So I took the liberty of just throwing some boilerplate in here. So very standard, like unpacking command line arguments, right? So the proxy needs a port to bind to, you need to give it a target, and we need a database file to save our games into. Here, there's a default, and you can also, override the default with something else. We open the database, we close the database. And that's really all I got right now. And, I think this is actually enough that we can run and see what happens. The other thing I'll say real quick is Go is kind of persnickety, and it forces you to use all the variables you have. So I'm just going to print them out to like make the compiler happy, and we're going to move on with our lives. And main.go, one error, index out of range 1. That is true. We didn't provide you enough arguments. So we'll bind AT80. And I just realized we need an actual Battlesnake server to hit to validate this is working.
Well, why don't you get that running, and I'll talk a little bit about proxy servers. How's that sound?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like this Go built-in is going to make this like too easy. I figured I'd have like a leisurely amount of time to talk about this. But like, let's talk about what a proxy server is in case you're like not totally clear, or you're like, proxy server, that's what I use to get around like Netflix regional checks, right? Like, what is all about that? So I just figured I'd give an overview, right? Like, amazing if you know this already, but just like a primer for everyone. This is like the Wikipedia free image. I love Wikipedia. Their illustrative images are always perfect. But a proxy server is a server that exists between you, so your computer, and whatever you're making a request to. So that could be a web server or some sort of service online. And like broadly speaking, when we talk about using proxies, we're like fetching web pages or maybe fetching like media, like a streaming service or something like that. So the proxy acts in between, and depending on what type of proxy you're using or how it's configured, it can do a lot of different things for you. So the first and foremost is that it's now a barrier between you. So this diagram kind of shows it. If like Alice is the requesting service, it's me on my computer, I can ask the proxy, hey, proxy, could you ask Bob what time it is for me? Proxy is going to ask on my behalf. Bob doesn't know about Alice at all. Bob just knows about the proxy server. So returns a response to proxy, and then proxy lets me know. So that's kind of like the basic structure. It's always a server in between. So like with that as kind of the start, I'll bring this IDE up so we can sort of see what Penelope's doing as well. There's a lot of like options about what could happen. And the most obvious, useful things it can do is add layers of security, privacy, and even functionality depending on what you're doing. So a really like common kind of Simple use case is to mask yourself, is to like hide your IP address and pretend like you're somewhere else. So if I communicate, I'm in Canada, if I communicate with a proxy server in the US, then that might allow me to get access through that US proxy server to region locked content that is only available in the US. That's like a common example. But you can also use it for other things. It's really common, like let's say if you're in a shared office, there might be a proxy server that's acting as a cache. So you might have like a whole office all interacting with very similar websites. And that's a lot of bandwidth. So a way to reduce costs is to have a proxy server interact, and then it can kind of like hold on to resources. So if two people requested the same thing, it only has to request it once. So that's another use of a proxy server. So privacy kind of tracking, a malicious one maybe to think of, and this is a good example that pairs nicely with my previous example, is a proxy server can be used to monitor people. So if you control the proxy server, that's pretty good. But if you're using someone else's proxy server, they're going to see every request. You're not anonymous to them. So maybe the final server, they don't know who you are, but the proxy knows who you are. And they know exactly what you did and exactly what you requested. So it's something to be aware of and thoughtful. Anyone who controls the proxy can see who and how exactly it's being used, including cookies and any passwords that are being transferred. So this should be something to be a bit of a note of caution if you're like looking at using a public proxy server or one online or a free one. You always want to kind of be aware of what their policies are and how they actually operate and use a reputable proxy, something like Tor or something. So that's something good to know. So yeah, there's a lot of different kinds, and we could talk about these in more detail. However, none of those use cases seem to fit with what we're doing today for Penelope. So we're doing actually something called a reverse proxy server, where the proxy is actually working for the destination for the server. So instead of the focus being on protecting the person requesting, it's protecting the service that's returning information. So this is really, really good for things like load balancing. Let's say there's a lot of requests being made, and maybe there's like 4 or 5 servers handling it behind the scenes. Everything interacts with the proxy, and it kind of distributes the load and handles the responses. So it can kind of help cache and like load balance a little bit. And it's also a nice way to sort of centralize encryption. So if you have a lot of web servers that are serving up a lot of content, you can just use one proxy server to act as an encryptor, instead of having to do that on all of them and have different certificates for every server. So this reverse proxy is really, really useful in the case when it's in between people requesting and like a collection of servers in the background, because then it gives one central communication point, makes it a little bit safer, a little bit more secure. And it can also do things like cache to sort of like help lighten the load on all of the servers. And kind of things like this. It's just nice and central. So that's what we're doing today, is a reverse proxy. So this is going to be more of a proxy whose job is to protect the server rather than the other types of proxies, which are about protecting the person making a request. So yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of notes on like different types of proxies if people really want to know. But I'll stop there because we got some typing action here from Penelope.
Yeah, this is a very Penelope thing. We're just writing some very simple database setup stuff. So we're doing SQL, so we need to define our schema before our application can touch it. We're gonna have 3 tables, right? One table for start requests, one table for move requests, and one table for end requests. And I posit that this is a complete schema for a start request. And then
just everything
and
actually, JSON blob. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just to talk about this, right? Like, I've maintained a lot of databases in my life. The number of times I've been saved by having a integer primary key that is separate from any other ID that may be in the thing is really useful. And similarly, having created at timestamps, incredibly useful. Like, this one thing will save your life more times than you could possibly imagine. Yeah, I don't have a lot else to say. I mean, probably we should have a unique index on game ID. probably, but this is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. This is as I was saying in the pre-stream, this is the deep learning coding badly crossover stream, and so I think this is fine.
Yeah. There's a subtle
Uh,
thing. I'm glad you pointed out the created at. So obviously wonderful for all the reasons you gave, but I specifically like that it's created underscore at because, and I do that for all of my dates in databases, like created at or modified at or whichever, because so often if you just use created, it's a little ambiguous if it's a Boolean or a timestamp. And by always having that underscore at, you're like, this is a timestamp. I know exactly what I'm working with. You just hit my biases. I'm on board with this.
Fun fact, in Ruby, there is a gem called time for a Boolean. And basically, anywhere you would have a Boolean column, it instead gives you a nullable timestamp column. And what that means, right, is instead of having true false, you have either this thing is not set or this thing was set at this given point in time.
Oh, that's actually I'm kind of into that. Huh.
Right? Right? Isn't that cool? Okay,
Cool.
we have a database with a schema. Let's just SQLite 3 games. Let's SQLite. I did this earlier. What was the command I used to? Yeah, show me all the tables. Great, we have all the tables. Great. Let's do the next thing. So we're already going to open this up, and we're going to ping the database. That's actually enough that we can. Great, we crashed. Yep, same crash. We want to bind to port 8080. We want to target this server over here. And for the folks at home, this is a Tailscale IP. You can try and hit it. It won't work. Great. Great. Cool. Now we can actually just write the Go proxy.
Nice.
So I copied this code out of a tutorial. There was no shame in doing that. But let's maybe just talk a little bit about what this is doing. So this new proxy function takes a target host, and basically all it does is delegate to Go's reverse proxy. And then we bind, when we, this gives us back the proxy object. And then we set up a new HTTP server mounted on slash. So this will match everything, right? This won't just match slash. This will match any HTTP request that comes in, and it will invoke the proxy request handler. And the proxy request handler is just going to pass HTTP straight through, right? We can even print some information about the request, right?
Nice.
And if I do this, we can see now our program is not immediately exiting. And if I curl slash, I get back the Battlesnake API version from my real Battlesnake server.
Awesome.
So we just called does this work lol. And what?
No, it's good. Does this work well? Yes. Lols, yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the proper ACK response to does this work lol?
Well, I mean, at the end of that competitive season, the casters were like, Penelope, I think you can say it works at this point. Because it went straight to elite, and I was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. All right, let's actually put things in the database. And to do that, we actually need to give this the database, which I actually don't know what the type of this thing is, but I know how to find out what the type of this thing is. What type are you? You are a SQL database. Cool. Star SQL.db. Now we can do things with the DB. This goes here, and then I can take this. I'm scared. Aurora, I'm scared.
It's okay. We'll try. We'll see what happens. The computer will tell us. We'll find out.
If r.url.path equals start body. No, I want the whole body computer. How do I do that?
Ooh, ooh. This is where my unfamiliarity with the library is gonna.
What's the bet this thing is like?
R.body? Right there?
There's literally a...
Yeah?
Great.
Yeah?
What's the bet Copilot can just write this for me?
Thanks to GitHub Copilot making all Twitch streams just so much smoother these days.
Content. We need to tell it how long this slice is going to be, which is not this, but is something like r dot. Yep, that.
Content length, nice. Okay, beauty.
Yeah,
beauty.
Defer. Yep. Love GitHub. I love GitHub Copilot. It does make these things easier, right? Go, and now I'm Googling Go SQL, right? Blob column.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be the last bit. So just to sort of put this in context while you Google, we have this like little Go proxy server. So this is our reverse proxy, and we've got the Battlesnake server for Demifem, I'm assuming is the Battlesnake.
No, it does this work lol.
Okay, so this does this work lol. Sorry, yes, of course. So does this work, y'all? And then we also have the Battlesnake server that is running the games. So this proxy is going to collect all of the move data from the start API endpoint that the Battlesnake server implements. So it's all the requests are going through the proxy, and then we're going to kind of record and save them before they go back to does this work lol Battlesnake. So this is where our proxy is living.
Exactly. And then if there's time, we can also make this async, which will be kind of sick.
Mm-hmm. This will add some latency, maybe a little bit, just putting an extra layer essentially.
Yeah, I mean, this should be actually, there's a couple of potential bugs here, I'm realizing, that we'll deal with when we encounter them, if we encounter them. No. Yep, fine. We'll just... This is also not good practice, but whatever. What's interesting is this function isn't allowed to error, which you would expect for a HTTP handler function in Go, but whatever. Starts... What was our schema? It would be great if I had a memory that lasted more than like 3 seconds. It's fine. We can just put it over here. AMID, JSON, values, this. And for right now, I'm actually just not gonna write the game ID, and we can do the extraction from that in a second pass. I just want to see the most basic version of this work.
Totally. And we're just capturing start at this point, correct? Or was it move that you?
Yeah. We'll do all the other ones in a second. Mm-hmm. So if I rerun this, but I hit I need to restart my Go program, and I need to specify the port correctly. And I appreciate things are a little crowded here, but
all good.
Localhost 8080. Yeah. Okay, cool. I thought this would happen. We got a panic. Proxy request handler, Func1 74. Huh. Okay.
So
Okay, that's not what I thought. Okay, this is a different error than the error I thought was going to happen. Um,
where is the line number? I mean, it could be that Copilot
it's
has,
right. It's this panic right here.
yeah,
Um,
but above that,
uh,
is it, do we have to do something more than r.body? Is there like, is it just an attribute or a function call we have to do to fetch the data? Has Copilot
you
steered
know,
us wrong?
you know, a thing I like about the internet is you don't have to think about these things too hard. And in this case, I'm just going to copy some code off Google.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
okay. So
look at
IO
look
library
at
to
that.
read the body. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
Like
where we went south. Okay.
as I have mentioned more than once, I don't actually know how to write Go all that well. But I do know how to copy paste off Google, and that's half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if this works. Yeah.
Nice.
Uh.
Uh,
Oh, is this not able to use my Tailscale proxy? Because like this works, right? Like,
mm-hmm. And it was working before.
um, I uh, you know what? Uh, let's. I might be able to. I might be able to just get DemiFem up and running. Let me. Or, in fact, I might be able to get Does This Work Lol up and running locally, which would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you just get it all in the same network.
Yeah, something is weird there. Oh, please compile.
Oh, good.
This is all running off my brand new M1 Mac, so hopefully compiling Rust is fast.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we should actually have data in our database now.
Yeah, which is quite cool.
SQLite 3 games.sqlite. So starts. Yeah, look at that.
Yay!
We have an ID, we have the JSON, and the game ID is missing, but we expected that. Hell yeah. Okay,
So, yeah, that looks really, really good. And I have a question for you, mostly because I want to make a specific point. But maybe could one argue that setting up a proxy service for this, even with the ease of the default Go library, could this be described perhaps as a little bit extra? Like, arguably, couldn't one build this in their Battlesnake?
They could, but the point is that would require everyone to write this logging code in their own Battlesnake. By me doing this, anyone can just install this server in front of their Battlesnake server and have logging, right? Like this is the great power of open source. It's like I don't need to know what language. Like this will work in every language. This will work for everyone. I don't need to know anything about your Battlesnake. You can just run this logging proxy and it will log everything for you,
Yeah.
right?
Which is excellent. Thank you. That's what I was hoping you would say. Plus, just to add, I feel like no matter what we do with Battlesnake, doing something for it being extra and actually not having a justifiable reason is also good because we're just trying stuff here. Like this is just an excuse to play and build stuff and explore.
Great. We got the server up and running on localhost. The one thing I'm worried about is my snake now needs a Honeycomb API key, and the Honeycomb API key is not available on this machine. I think providing an empty string will work, though. Hopefully, I do love how literally nothing goes as smoothly as expected when we do these streams.
Yeah. I mean, this is just how coding works. This is fine. An honest portrayal right here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's rerun Battlesnake logging proxy, Battlesnake play, localhost 8080. So if I rerun the logging proxy, go run, main. Oh my god. There we go. And we point this at localhost 888 instead. So now, yeah,
there
great.
we go.
Great.
So new Battlesnake Demifem proxy Battlesnake servers.
Yeah, great. This is we're actually like 80% of the way there. This is actually one of the reasons why I decided to use Go. Is Go makes doing like very simple things like this really easy. Is this where Copilot just generates all the code for us? Because
yeah, it sees your pattern and it now knows what to do for the others. So we just need to make sure it's move and end. That's probably the only thing it doesn't really know.
Moves, and then this one we have a turn column as well. Game ID will be empty, turn will be 0 for now, and then yeah, okay, it completely worked it out.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I supremely love GitHub Copilot. It has made my life a lot easier. Ends rm games.sqlite. Great. Let's reboot this.
Let's see if we get some more data. Okay, while you're rebooting and running, I'm going to say a few things about SQLite because I think it's fun. So you may be familiar with SQLite already, but let's just talk about it for a second. So SQL or SQL is your classic relational database language. It's incredibly popular. If you're doing development work, it's likely something you're going to come across. And there are a lot of relational databases that use SQL. So Postgres is an example, or MySQL, even proprietary systems like Oracle databases or Microsoft databases use some sort of flavor of SQL. They're all very, very similar. So SQLite is like the lightest weight version of a relational SQL database that you can have. And it's beautiful. It was written in C. And it supports like most of what's known as the SQL 92 standard. So it's very small. It doesn't have maybe all of the functionality. It can't quite handle like transactions and things like that some of the more powerful database servers can. But that's okay because the goal of SQLite is to just allow it to be small without having to like install a database management system. You don't have to have an admin. You don't have to like have a login account or any of that. Which you would have to do with these other databases. And it just writes it to a file. And it only requires a library. So for Penelope's system here, we had that like little Go SQLite 3 library and didn't have to like really install anything beyond that. You just use this library, which is very handy, very lightweight, doesn't require a lot of extra stuff there. So it's just really incredibly convenient, and you can easily, because it's all written to a file, you can share the database easily by just sending it to someone or duplicate it or like do a backup by essentially duplicating the file. It has some limitations. The most obvious one is because you're writing your database to just a file, which you can open and read like any file. When you're doing writes, it has to lock. So concurrent writings or multiple writings is not appropriate. You want to use it for lightweight stuff. And this is a perfect example, right? Like we know moves come in one at a time. This proxy server data, is not going to be stuck. So we don't have like multiple Battlesnakes working on the same database. So because we have this like 1-to-1 ratio, it's really appropriate and very lightweight and quick to install, as we've seen, because of how flawlessly smooth this has been. And SQLite's really, really popular. It's actually used everywhere and you might not even notice it. So most web browsers have SQLite somewhere in there, either to sort of store local data or cookies. You see it in especially mobile browsers a lot. A lot of mobile apps will use a SQLite database just to store your local data. So that's really, really common. It's also like a default database in a lot of web frameworks. So if you're running like a development Django server, development Ruby on Rails server, those all use SQLite as the default. It's like ready to rock and get you started, which is pretty fantastic. So yeah, it's everywhere. SQLite is everywhere. It's beautiful. There's a cute Wikipedia page on it to talk about the history and like who made it and why. But I love SQLite. It's the perfect tool for so many jobs. You don't always have to install the full, database system. And it's perfect for this.
Aurora, I just want to point out that GitHub Copilot did the refactoring for me without me having to do anything. It's actually pretty terrifying.
Mm-hmm. We've got some error handling in case there's a write issue.
I mean, this is a Penelope stream. Like, you know what you're getting. Not closer. We actually do need that in all three arms. Okay. Should we pause some JSON?
Yeah. Let's see what we get out of this. So we've got start, move, and end are all ready to go.
Yeah. What's the actual JSON data structure of a Battlesnake game?
Oh, why don't I put a link in Gogs or put a link in chat here, because there is a do you want like the official doc or do you want like the quick example JSON blog?
Either is fine. I just need so the game ID is at the top level and the turn is at the top level, so I can literally just say this, and then say this and this.
So I've got it open on my screen, but I've popped it into Twitch chat as well. This is my favorite quick ref. This is what I always go to. So this is an example of all of the data that you get in a move request from the Battlesnake server. So you have game ID, rule set, if you're interested in that. But I guess at the same level, game ID, turn, board. Okay, keep pressing enter.
Why would I write code when Copilot can write the code for me?
Yeah.
Don't worry. I have like if this is it, I actually still have more. I have more we can do after this.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not worried.
This goes here. Can Copilot figure this out? No, okay. That's unreasonable for me to try and get it to figure out. Okay, cool. Yeah, great. And then that's so much fun. That's just so much fun. So now let's make sure we're actually getting these game IDs in our database.
Sure.
Oh, wait, I just switched to the completely wrong place on my screen.
There we go.
Boop the thing. SQLite 3 games.SQLite, select game ID from starts. Ooh, it looks like we didn't get it.
Okay.
I think I know why even actually. No? Oh.
So start. So there's game, and inside of the game object, it is ID. Is that being accessed correctly in the JSON blob?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's ID, not game underscore ID.
Yeah, I told it that it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's just double check that we didn't not refresh something or something.
Yeah.
debugging time. ID game starts. It's not there. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. So let's print JSON unmarshal. Thank you, Copilot. Go run. Cool. Well, so it didn't get unmarshaled from the JSON.
Body and game. Just trying to see where game is getting pulled from.
Oh, it's nested.
Yeah. So there's like, so it's inside game, and then inside of game there's a JSON object with what is it? ID.
I see. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what you were saying earlier. We can
wasn't articulating very clearly.
We can just do this, and this is fine. Yes, and now we're going to have compilation errors because we need to say this everywhere. And like, this is not just like doing an anonymous inline struct is not best practice, right? But like, this is not coding bad. I was about to say this is coding badly. This is deep learning. This is deep learning. We're learning things. We're not.
Yeah, learning is messy. That's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with that.
Go run. No, migrate. Aurora, how long do we have left?
I mean, we can easily go for another 10, 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. No rush.
I have one more thing I want to talk to you about after we get this working. Boop the thing. There we go. Oh no, I just deleted the database. I wanted to manually inspect. Fortunately, generating data is easy.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Everything's there.
Void Fluorescent says they have to go in 10. That is fine. And if you miss or catch, you want to like miss the last few minutes and want to pick them up, video will be posted. It'll be available in the Twitch videos first, and it will go up on YouTube at some point, usually a little later. So yeah, no worries. Glad you could hang out while you are.
Is the first turn 1 or turn 0?
Oh, snap. That's a good question. I should know that off the top of my head. I believe it's turn 1. Let me quickly check. Oh, no, sorry. 0, turn number of the game being played, 0 for new games. There we go.
Great. Do you know off the top of your head how I make a solo game? Is it tech game type solo?
Yeah, type. I believe it is just solo, yes. SOLO, but let me confirm. Cool.
Because I want to see more than one move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just ran a solo game.
That's a good one. Okay, we got a great suggestion from chat, which is New Relic. I feel like I need a learning is messy sticker that I am going to send that to our designer, Darcy, because Darcy makes all of our stickers and designs. And I'm going to tell him that I want a learning is messy deep learning sticker. That's a great idea.
I got my data structure wrong once again because, you know, I'm great at reading docs and actually paying attention. It's fine. Okay, this time, it's all gonna work. I promise. I promise. Show the JSON body. No, I no longer want to do that. Why didn't we get an end request? Do you not get an end request in solo games?
You should always get an end.
It looks like we didn't get an end in a solo game.
Because in a solo, the game will end when the battle snake terminates, which should happen eventually. So unless the game is still running.
Anyway, it's all working.
Yeah.
So, uh, we did it. We did it. We achieved the main objective for today. Uh, so maybe just to talk about the main objective, right? Like now for each request, we just load the JSON and we dump it into a data store, and you can see like I have everything here, right? Like I have every move in this game, and I didn't select the JSON bodies, but like they are totally what's the column called? JSON. Like they're totally there, right? So Aurora, I want to put one thing to you.
Okay.
We didn't add indices on any of the columns that users are likely to want to select by. And I think we should do that. And then I think we should declare victory. And I think then we can declare victory.
Okay, I'm for that. Yeah, because if we don't do that,
right?
if we don't show that step, then inevitably we're going to fill the database. Querying is going to slow down. You want an index to keep it snappy. Keep it snappy.
So this is where I am again Googling how to add indexes on SQLite databases.
I do not know that off the top of my head.
Yeah. So create index name on table name column list. So we want starts game ID on starts.
Oh, weird. Okay. 210 in chat, which is Brad, confirms, weirdly enough, solo games are not sending an end request, which is strange. So let's file a bug for that. We found an issue.
And I posit moves need a game ID index and a game ID and turn index, but not just a turn index. And ends game ID. I think these are the indices we need.
And game ID, yeah. Definitely on the game ID.
Cool. So let's delete our database, make our database, run main.go, run one more test game. And nice. I think that's it. I think that's it. I think we can declare victory at this point. Yes, that's right. Do you want to? Okay, I'm done coding. I'm declaring that we won. Do you want to talk about anything else?
I mean, I've got some wine stuff, but like, let's just appreciate our journey here for a moment. what we have achieved in like slightly less than an hour, and by we, I mean you. But I mean, we talked a little bit about what a proxy server is and how it can be useful, and we specifically set up a reverse proxy to live between Penelope's Battlesnake, Demifem at the end, and then the Battlesnake servers. And the purpose of this proxy server is to live in between the two servers and intercept all of the response data from the Battlesnake server. So that's like the data from starting, from moving and stopping. And the reason we want to do this is we want to stash it away into a database for whatever purposes we have later, further analysis, which could be anything from like manually reviewing games to understand what happened, to, you know, like piping it into some sort of like learning algorithm to improve your Battlesnakes. The possibilities are endless. By adding in this proxy server, as pointed out earlier, this is nice because it's an independent unit from our Battlesnake. This could live in front of any Battlesnake easily. So you only have to build one once. In theory, someone could open source this and make it available to the Battlesnake community to download.
Someone.
Well, if Penelope doesn't do it, someone else should pick it up because I think this is a useful tool. Chat says, and pipe it into GitHub Copilot. And then GitHub Copilot coded 90% of this for us. But we used the SQLite database to store this, lovely Go SQLite 3 library to facilitate that for us. And we're saving data. It's pretty great. I mean, there might be more one wants to do, but we've got the whole JSON body just stashed away in there, which is beautiful and great.
Yeah. And I think I can just check all this code in and push it right now.
Nice.
Is that how that works? Did I just do it? I don't actually know how to use the Git UI and Visual Studio Code. Uh,
I am old school. I always have a separate terminal, and I want to type all my Git commands myself. I don't know. That's
uh, I think github.com/Penelope Zone/Battlesnake logging proxy. Yeah, 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 yeah. If you go back to my browser,
Oh, okay. Here we go. There we
done.
go.
Everyone go forth and enjoy.
Nice. So we've got, just trying to, here we go. Let's getting the link in here. What did you call the repo? Logging proxy. Nice. Here we go. I'll just drop that link in chat here. So if you want to see what was built, Penelope's logging proxy, brilliant. And let me toss up here, if you have enjoyed spending time with Penelope as much as I do, find her on social. Penelope also streams your own Twitch channel where you code of varying degrees of quality, I'm sure.
Badly.
Yeah. Definitely check that out, which is always a delight. And you're also, if I recall correctly, you're scheduled. So Joe from the Battlesnake team is doing a set of streams right now of like a coding rally during Spring League. And I believe you're in that chain as well. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around mid-April, I want to say. I'm like right in the middle. So I agreed with Joe that no matter what happened in the first half of the season, I would come in and be like a little bit of a cleanup crew. And so we'll see. But yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Excellent. So yeah, definitely check out the Battlesnake calendar if you want to see Penelope again on a Battlesnake stream, and check out that code rally. And I'm just gonna bring up here. I'm gonna bring up my stuff here. So I got some stuff, some other stuff to share. So first off, Battlesnake, play.battlesnake.com. If you are new to Battlesnake or you haven't done it yet, please check it out. We have more streams. So we had deep learning today, but tomorrow is when the Spring League arena goes live. So I'm just gonna pop this up here. So we've got our Spring League 2022 registration goes live tomorrow. So you can either go directly through here. We also have this special Casters Cup. So under competitions here, so we've got our Spring League here, but there's also this Caster Cup. So definitely go to battlesnake.com/competitions. I believe registration for this closes tomorrow. So there's going to be a stream on Snake Pit Live on Saturday, where we're going to be starting North America versus Europe for Battlesnake events. So you can register for this Caster Cup, and Snake Pit Live Day 1 is going to be the North American division. So it's not too late. So this is the next stream to check out and see some Battlesnake action and the casting team live casting some games. So not building, but like, let's see what's happening, what games are playing. And if you'd like to participate, register, please do. So the first session for that is this Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time. Yeah, I think that covers us. Brilliant.
Aurora, can I tell you something? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for either Spring League. Like I'm halfway through a huge refactor on my Battlesnake, and it isn't currently broken, but it's not in a good state. And so I'm not ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay, because we've got several weeks to climb these ranks, Spring League or Caster Cup. We've got time. So definitely register and check that out. Yeah, I think those are my announcements. But yeah, check it out. Check out Spring League. Arena opens tomorrow. It's not too late to register. And check out the next Twitch streams in the following days. Brilliant. Thank you again, Penelope.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yes, it is a delight as always. And thanks everyone for hanging out with us. And please hit us up on Discord if you want. I have ideas or desires or wishes for the next Deep Learning episode, which will be in March. Cool. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.